Welcome back, you all, for 8 News, Arts, and Culture. My name is Kendall McCauley.
And my name is Catrice Roots.
And today we're back for another episode. Tell them what's going on today, Catrice.
So, in this episode, we interviewed a local filmmaker by the name of Justin Geldzahler. And he is from Mechanicsville, Virginia. I did a solo interview with him, which y'all are about to see in a minute. And he currently lives in New York as a filmmaker. He has worked on well-known shows and movies such as Euphoria. He's worked on the movie Respect, the movie based on Aretha Franklin. So this is like a well-versed, polished filmmaker, and he debuted his solo film recently called Glue Trap, and that movie is so good. You guys have got to watch it. I'm not going to spoil it for you. I'm not going to spoil it, but if you like anthologies, in other words, like if you like stuff like The Twilight Zone, where it's like it's not a lot of jump scares, not that type of scary movie, but it's like a slow build up psychological horror type of film.
Like, I guess what you would say, a thriller or
like a thriller
like
anthology style. So if you like that, you're gonna like Glue Trap. And so here's the interview.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Justin Geldzahler. I'm from Mechanicsville, Virginia originally, and I wrote and directed the new film Glue Trap.
Awesome. So first getting started, what initially got you into, like, what sparked your interest in film, and how long have you been doing it professionally?
I think just growing up in farm country, because, I didn't have neighbors I could even walk over to. I grew up watching a lot of TV, and then my parents got me a camcorder, or, got the family a camcorder in 5th grade. So I quickly became one of those kids who's like, oh, can I make a movie for my project instead of doing work? And, sort of starting the long road of like, oh, it's a lot of work to actually make a movie, but bye-bye, this isn't work. And so I've been kind of always making short films and such with friends since then. And then since about 2013, I've been working in the entertainment industry professionally, mostly in television. First job just getting coffees and such for writers, but then working my way up as a script coordinator, then eventually consultant on shows like Succession and Euphoria. But, my first love was always film. And so I always knew I wanted to make a feature film, and I always knew I wanted to make it in Virginia.
Awesome. And so I noticed you mentioned some of the films that you worked on throughout the years. Just so the audience can get to know more of just your wide variety of work professionally, what are some other films and like TV shows you've worked on throughout the years?
Yeah. So it's mostly been television, because it's kind of like so much of your work in Hollywood is word of mouth. And so like my first job was on a show called Royal Pains, which was an hour-long medical mystery show. And so all the jobs I got after that all the jobs I got after that were just because of people I met on the first show. So then I worked on the show called Mistresses, which led to a show called Outlander for a couple of years. Then I ended up leaving Los Angeles for New York, where I worked on Fosse Verdon, The Plot Against America, Succession, the occasional movie in there. Like I worked on the Aretha Franklin biopic, Respect, because the writer of that, Tracy, we do a lot of work together, but I've known her since Fosse Verdon. And so, it's just kind of been in the soup, but mostly on the TV side and mostly on the drama side, just all stemming back to that first job.
Well, that is so cool. It kind of correlates with what most people in that industry say. It's usually like it trickles down. As long as you can get that first big break into working on your first film, then it kind of builds up from there.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think, I'm competent at my job, and that I've been decent enough to spend time around, because, a TV job can be, on the office side, 40, 50, 60-hour weeks. And it's just like, can I stand being around this person? And I guess people could.
To your specific film, Glue Trap, what was your inspiration for this movie? Like, did you just like wake up one day and was like, you know what? I'm gonna do my own film. I'm gonna make it this way, that, or was it like a gradual type of inspiration for this?
Maybe closer to the former. Like, I knew I just wanted to make a film. And I was like, okay, no one's going to give me the money to make a film, so I have to write something using resources I have. My original plan was actually to make a detective movie set in Richmond. It was all going to be run and gun, kind of like filming in public spaces or like in the back of a restaurant that a friend works kind of thing. But we had our table read for that March 2nd, 2020, and it was like, oh, this is not a movie we can make anytime soon. So I was just like, I need to make something. What do I have available? I need to write something small. My parents have a cabin in Nelson County, so I was like, okay, I'll write for that. And then I wrote, roles just for certain actors I knew. And so it all really came out of the subconscious because I was working from just a like, all right, I have these people in this place and I don't want to spend a lot of money. So it'll be a horror film, but it's going to be a lot more tension and discomfort instead of any special effects. And so I haven't written anything else on a feature scale that way before, but that's always been my approach for short films, where it's like, oh, my buddy's got this art gallery, or someone, has this someone's a really good singer. I will base something around that. So it's just kind of, the place of always what will make this look more expensive.
Wow, that is awesome because like looking at the film too, is I could really tell like you really worked on a minimalistic way. Like you didn't add in too many special effects. It's like you worked with like good camera angles, good lighting, good direction, and it's like it really shows the story. It's not just a bunch of special effects or and stuff like that. And I love that. And it kind of gives that Twilight Zone anthology tension build up type of vibe. And I love everything about it.
Oh, thanks, good trees.
But like also did you ever like grow up watching any, well, obviously horror movies, but like what were some horror movies that you would say maybe subconsciously inspired this type of movie?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think any horror movie where people are isolated, I feel like one of the first horror movies I ever watched as a kid was The Shining, and that wasn't top of mind while making this, but it's hard not to come back to it. There's a movie from about like 15 years ago that I'm partial to called Insidious, which is basically kind of a remake of Poltergeist. But there's a shot in Glue Trap where it was straight up like, there's a moment in Insidious where this red demon pops up, and I was like, okay, we're just going to try and create this shot, but with our human characters, none of whom are demonic or anything. They're just people crashing into each other. And yeah, a lot of stuff like that. But there were even more recent ones that were probably less subconscious and more like, oh, they were really effective. There's this wonderful independent horror film called Always Shine. It's about these two blonde actresses going to a cabin in the California woods, but one of them's a lot more successful than the other, and tensions rise. But that was just a great example of like, oh, you can just have people in rooms talking, and it can still be deeply uncomfortable.
Wow, that is awesome. Like I just love like the draw. I love hearing where people draw that inspiration from, with their own work. That is awesome. And one of the last questions I want to ask, do you have any new projects coming soon? I know this one's been out for about a year, building up more momentum and stuff. But like, do you have anything in the works in the background right now?
Yeah, a couple things. I mean, I before we sort of started recording, I was telling you I can't go into too much detail, but recently wrote a new script that I've been describing as an erotic thriller about a lawyer with too much time on our hands. And this is the first time production companies in Hollywood were competing to actually work with me on this. So I finally decided on a partner yesterday, and that's very exciting. But also been doing some stuff in the TV space. Actually, there's a friend of mine from Richmond who I met on the David Simon Show Plot Against America, Rena Rexroad, who pulled me onto this project. She's been doing about a show set in the world of modeling about a former academic who goes back into the world to write her dissertation, all based on the work of this really talented academic. But we've been pitching that around town, and that's been really exciting. And yeah, a couple things brewing, but it's always in the arts, you always have four or five things you're working on, and it's like, okay, which thing's actually going to get the traction, which thing's going to get the money and start moving. So check it back in with me in 6 months.
Definitely. We would love to have you back on the show, because I know just more updated film work and stuff. Please keep us in the loop, and we would love to have you like in person in here talking about it too. Um,
Oh, absolutely.
but one last question. I always love to ask each and every one of our guests this. What are some words of wisdom that you would like to leave with the audience?
I just just do it and just always shoot your shot. Always ask for, always politely shoot your shot and ask for things. Because so much of an independent film is cold contacting people and asking for favors, or even just saying like, hey, from those initial collaborators, will you check this out? And it's like, as I feel like there's always a fear, oh, people might say no or people get rejected. But if you're in the arts, you just have to accept that there will be rejection. And 90% of it has nothing to do with you. People just aren't interested in the thing. But you will also, if you won't get these opportunities if you don't go after them. And it's like, there's so many things where I'm like, oh, I'm glad, it's a lot of wasted breath and wasted emails that led nowhere. But that 10% did more for me than I could have ever imagined.
That is awesome.
Yeah, go out and make stuff.
That is awesome. So true. Like, just put out the work and contact people that you feel like are going to get you there eventually, And so where can people find the movie Glue Trap at?
Yeah, Glue Trap is available for rental and purchase wherever people find movies online. We're on cable boxes everywhere, Apple TV, Fandango at home, Google Play, Amazon, all the usual places. So throw a couple bucks our way and check us out. It was only 89 minutes long.
Awesome. And also, where can people find you on social media to follow you?
Yeah, I'm at Justin Gelds, but I think following at Glue Trap Movie on all the usual sites might give people a bit more. I'm not that interesting online. But yeah, if they want to check me out at justingeldzahler.com. But yeah, thank you so much, Catrice. Thank you for shining light on arts in the Richmond and Virginia area.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you all for watching this interview. I just want to thank Justin for giving us his time to interview him. It was awesome and an honor to interview you.
Yes, thank you, Justin. We really appreciate you, and our audience, I'm sure, appreciates you as well.